The screen controls allow you to navigate through the e-learning experience. Using your browser controls may disrupt the normal play of the course. At the completion of this course, you will be able to discuss the evolution of cabling, classify different types of common data center cables, describe cabling installation practices, identify the strategies for selecting cabling topologies, utilize cable management techniques. From a cost perspective, building and operating a data center represents a significant piece of any information technology budget. The key to the success of any data center is the proper design and implementation of core critical infrastructure components. Cabling infrastructure in particular is an important area to consider when designing and managing any data center. The cabling infrastructure encompasses all data cables that are part of the data center, as well as all of the power cables necessary to ensure power to all of the loads. This course will address the basics of cabling infrastructure and will discuss cabling installation practices, cable management strategies, and cable maintenance practices. We will take an in-depth look at both data cabling and power cabling. Let's begin with a look at the evolution of data center cabling. Ethernet protocol has been a data communication standard for many years. Along with Ethernet, several traditional data cabling practices continue to shape how data cables are deployed. High-speed data cabling over copper is a cabling medium of choice. Cable fed into patch panels and wall plates is common. The RJ45 is the data cable connector of choice. The functionality within the data cables and associated hardware, however, has undergone dramatic change. Increased data speeds have forced many physical changes. Every time a new, faster standard is ratified by standardization bodies, the cable and supporting hardware have to be redesigned to support it. New test tools and procedures also follow each new change in speed. These changes have primarily all been required by the newer, faster versions of Ethernet, which are driven by the customer's need of more speed and bandwidth. Copper cabling has been used for decades in office buildings, data centers, and other installations to provide connectivity. Copper is a reliable medium for transmitting information over shorter distances, but its performance is only guaranteed up to 109.4 yards or 100 meters between devices. Copper cabling that is used for data network connectivity contains 4 pairs of wires which are twisted along the length of the cable. The twist is crucial to the correct operation of the cable. If the wires unravel, the cable becomes more susceptible to interference. Copper cables come in 2 configurations. Solid cables provide better performance and are less susceptible to interference, making them the preferred choice for use in a server environment. Stranded cables are more flexible and less expensive, and typically are only used in patch cord construction. Copper cabling, patch cords, and connectors are classified based on their performance characteristics and for which applications they are typically used.
These ratings, called categories, are spelled out in the TIA EIA 568 Commercial Building Telecommunications Wiring Standard.
Fiber optic cable is another common medium for providing connectivity. Fiber cable consists of 5 elements. The center portion of the cable, known as the core, is a hair-thin strand of glass capable of carrying light. This core is surrounded by a thin layer of slightly purer glass called cladding that contains and refracts that light.
Core and cladding glass are covered in plastic coating to protect them from dust or scratches.
Strengthening fibers are then added to protect the core during installation. Finally, all of these materials are wrapped in plastic or other protective substance that serves as the cable's jacket. A light source, blinking billions of times per second, is used to transmit data along a fiber cable. Fiber optic A light source, blinking billions of times per second, is used to transmit data along a fiber cable. Fiber optic components work by turning electronic signals into light signals and vice versa. Light travels down the interior of the glass, refracting off the cladding and continuing onward until it arrives at the other end of the cable and is seen by receiving equipment. When light passes from one transparent medium to another, like from air to water, or in this case, from the glass core to the cladding material, the light bends. A fiber cable's cladding consists of a different material from the core. In technical terms, it has a different refraction index that bends the light back toward the core. This phenomenon, known as total internal reflection, keeps the light moving along a fiber optic cable for great distances, even if that cable is curved. Without the cladding, that light would leak out. Fiber cabling can handle connections over a much greater distance than copper cabling, 50 miles or 80.5 kilometers or more in some configurations. Because light is used to transmit the signal, the upper limits of how far a signal can travel along a fiber cable is related not only to the properties of that cable. Besides distance, fiber cabling has several other advantages over copper. Fiber provides faster connection speeds. Fiber is not prone to electrical interference or vibration. Fiber is thinner and lightweight, so more cabling can fit into the same size bundle or limited spaces. Signal loss over distance is less along optical fiber than copper wire.
Fiber cables provide greater bandwidth.
Two varieties of fiber cable are available in the marketplace. Multi-mode fiber and single-mode fiber. Multi-mode is commonly used to provide connectivity over moderate distances, such as those in most data center environments or among rooms within a single building. Single-mode fiber is used for the longest distances, such as among buildings on a large campus or between sites. Copper is generally the less expensive cabling solution over shorter distances, while fiber is less expensive for longer distances.
Fiber cables are lighter than copper cables, but they are relatively delicate, must be handled carefully during installation, and may require extra components for protection.
In the case of data center power cabling, however, historical changes have taken a different route. In traditional data centers, designers and engineers were not too concerned with single points of failure. Scheduled downtime was an accepted practice. Systems were periodically taken down to perform maintenance and to make changes. Data center operators would also perform infrared scans on power cable connections prior to the shutdowns to determine problem areas. They would then locate the hot spots that could indicate possible risk of short circuits and address them. Traditional data centers very often had large transformers that would feed large, uninterruptible power supplies and distribution switchboards. From there, the cables would go to distribution panels that would often be located on the columns or walls of the data center. Large UPSs, transformers, and distribution switchgear were all located in the back room. The incoming power was then stepped down to the correct voltage and distributed to the panels mounted in the columns. Cables connected to loads like mainframe computers would be directly hardwired to the hardware. In smaller server environments, the power cables would be routed to power strips underneath the raised floor. The individual pieces of equipment would then plug into those power strips using sleeve and pin connectors to keep the cords from coming apart. Downtime is not as accepted as it once was in the data center. In many instances, it is no longer possible to shut down equipment to perform maintenance.
Ryan,
What?
I don't think it's the charger. I think it's the outlet.
You can try with that one. Try it.
Yeah?
But you were using this the other day just fine though.
No, not really. I mean, because it just is not charging.
Sometimes it just takes multiple times. Like computer's on.
Yeah.
I just hate that charger head. Like it looks like a USB-C head or something. But like that thing is just like loose. Sometimes it just falls out on its own. So that's just a fault with the charger connector.
A fundamentally different philosophical approach is at work. Instead of the large transformers of yesterday, smaller ones, called power
What?
I lap time.
Huh?
I lap time.
So what? What's wrong, bro? What's wrong?
I want to lap time. Copper is less expensive.
Ah, you're hurting me.
I'm glad you felt that way. Can I have it?
Really?
Yeah, it's already clean. It's getting better.
Finish. I don't want no more.
Distribution units, or PDUs, are now the norm. These PDUs have moved out of the back room onto the raised floor and in some cases are integrated into the racks. These PDUs feed the critical equipment. This change was the first step in a new way of thinking, a trend that involved getting away from the large transformer and switchboard panel. Modern data centers also have dual-core environments. Dual-core helps to minimize a single point of failure scenario. One of the benefits of the dual-core method is that data center operators can perform maintenance work on source A while source B maintains the load. The server never has to be taken offline while upstream maintenance is being performed. This trend began approximately 10 years ago, and it was clearly driven by the user. It became crucial for data center managers to maintain operations 24 hours a day, 7 days per week. Some of the first businesses to require such operations were banks, who introduced ATMs, which demanded constant uptime. The customer said, "We can no longer tolerate a shutdown." Now that we have painted a clear picture of the history of cabling infrastructure, we'll discuss the concept of modularity and its importance in the data center. Modularity is an important concept in the contemporary data center. Modular scalable components have been shown to be more efficient and more cost-effective. The data cabling industry tackled the issue of modularity decades ago. Before the patch panel was designed, many adds, moves, and changes were made by simply running new cable. After years of this run-a-new-cable mentality, wiring closets and ceilings were loaded with unused data cables. Many wiring closets became cluttered and congested. The strain on ceilings and roofs from the weight of unused cables became a potential hazard. The congestion of data cables under the raised floor also impeded proper cooling and exponentially increased the potential for human error and downtime. In the realm of data cabling, the introduction of the patch panel brought an end to the run-a-new-cable philosophy and introduced modularity to network cabling.
A patch panel is a piece of hardware with an array of ports that help to organize groups of cables.
The patch panel, located either on the data center floor or in a wiring closet, is the demarcation point where
Okay, I go downstairs. My brother's downstairs. He wants to say hi.
Okay.
Is that fair or no?
That's fine.
Promise?